The sun rose and fell 6 times, circling the earth from east to west, as Yefimovich unlocked his eyes to see the bloom of the morning's light. His heart raced at the pace of a snare drum, rolling steady notes of nervousness. He threw on a robe over his plaid pyjamas and headed towards the sound of the delicate voices coming from the living room.
"Good morning, Yefi. We were beginning to think you were not waking up today,"
Victoria said, kissing him good morning. She and Katerina were wearing courtly white dresses, with their hair done up in a bun. Victoria's was held up by a thick gold band that had the symbol of the rooted pyramid crested upon it, and Yekaterina's was held by a thin gold band that lined its way up like vines on a tree. "Ladies, you look absolutely spectacular today. I wish I could say the same about myself at the moment," Yefimovich quipped.
"Thanks, dear,"
Victoria blushed.
"It's 2 hours till noon, Dad. You might want to present yourself with a little more refinement before we leave. I don't think we'll win any hearts or strengthen any bonds wearing our pajamas," Katerina jested.
"At least I would be comfortable as they turned us away," he joked.
"I wouldn't imagine any of these meetings to be very comfortable, no matter what you're wearing. Now hurry up with your breakfast and get ready. Already you're late," Victoria said, whipping her husband into shape.
The sands of time sped from the top of the hourglass to the bottom, and when the hour struck 12, the sand circled within its capsule, neither rising nor falling until the first minute had passed. Outside, Aero was waiting with a fellow Avir soldier. The 2 men stood next to a large metallic spherical craft, known as the Orbital 1. Yefimovich stepped outside with his family and greeted the soldiers with a salute.
"Big day, sir,"
said Aero. "An even bigger week," Yefimovich responded. "What's our flight time to Arpa?"
"No more than 10 minutes. Not long at all, sir,"
said Aero as he began to draw lift to the craft. The sphere began to spin, and the wind began to howl. There was a sharp crack in the air, followed by the sonic percussion of the craft breaking the speed of sound. They ascended high into the heavens, travelling through the majesty of the clouds, reaching the ends of the earth, only to be held by the force of gravity from leaving its orbit. The world looked dazzling and brilliant as its blues, browns, whites and greens pulled the eyes away from the dark and endless blackness of space that surrounded it. They'd been in the sky no more than 4 minutes when a soft yellow light illuminated on the pilot's dashboard.
"Please make sure you're properly fastened, as we are about to start our descent,"
radioed the co-pilot. There was a bright light that flashed white-hot as the sphere came whistling down, back to the earth, and it did not seem to slow until it was very near the surface. The sand, dirt and dust rolled away like a wave crashing on the shore, and the craft landed as light as a feather.
"Welcome to Taj, Prime Minister, the capital of Arpa," said Aero.
"Great flying, boys. We'll see you in a few hours," Yefimovich said to them. Yefimovich and his family, along with 2 guards, were welcomed by 4 Arpa diplomats who wore blinding white robes with a headdress they called a Gandhi cap. The 4 gentlemen bowed their heads forward as they received Yefimovich and his family as guests of the Raja.
"Welcome, Prime Minister. It is an honor to host you, sir," said one of the diplomats.
"Thank you for hosting me. I sincerely appreciate the time you and the Raja have given me," he replied.
"We are happy to give it," said the man, "and we are incredibly humbled to be in the presence of the Tulku,"
the attaché said as he and the other 3 public officials fell to the floor in a bow to honor Yekaterina. She approached the men, stood in front of the diplomat that had been talking, and knelt down to his level.
"You need not worship me, for I am like you, a child of the divine, and a servant to the people. Now rise and see me eye to eye, man to man, equals,"
Yekaterina said to them. The men rose from their feet.
"Though we both may be the creations of the Creator, your path and your destiny have been foretold, and bear a strong and powerful burden. And for that reason we will always bow in your presence, for the true fate of humanity is within your hands," said the man.
"I am no different from the Tulku who came before me, and though my comings are foretold, it does not mean your story is less significant. Your actions are a choice that interconnect the people and the world around you. Your decisions ripple through the world much like a droplet ripples through still water. The initial strike is small, but very intense. It will strike to the very core of yourself and the people you hold most dear to your heart. And then the ripple grows far beyond what you could ever imagine, hitting the hearts and minds of everyone, everywhere because of you. So do not think the burden of the safety of humanity and its fate only rests with me, for you are accountable as well, and will be judged upon your actions.
My lady, forgive me, but there are many who believe you are more than just the Tulku of the past. There are great signs that show this to be true. There has never been a Tulku who could bend the light, the middle-aged diplomat said to her, being as polite as possible.
The English bend the light just as I do. I learned from Heiliger herself.
The English have always had the gift to manipulate the light into a physical form. Some think you are able to do more. The diplomat expressed his thoughts freely.
I can only do as they do, I promise you, Yekaterina answered.
As you say, my lady. I am sorry to have doubted you, said the humbled man.
Do not be afraid to question, as it leads to reason, and only a fool denies reason, she said in response to the diplomat.
Yes, my lady. Please, this way. These vehicles will take you and the Prime Minister to see Raja Harsha.
What is your name, sir? I've never got it, Katerina asked.
It is Sikna, he told her.
Thank you, Sikna, she said as she entered the vehicle with her mother and father already inside.
You're wise beyond your years, Kat, Yefimovich said to his daughter.
Well, I learned from you, and books.
He laughed, as did Victoria.
I wouldn't give your father so much credit, she said. It will go straight to his head, Victoria teased.
Didn't you know they call me Yefimovich the Wise? He played along.
Oh, goodness, what have I done?
Yekaterina put her hand over her face in embarrassment. The transporters drove them through the distinguished city. Every street, every building, and every home was made from either mud bricks or clay. The craftsmanship of the architecture was like no other on earth. Its precision and calculated lines made for an artistic and elegant design, which was marvelled throughout the world. And at the end of the city was a white palace known as the Mausoleum. At its centre was a great dome, reaching nearly 250 feet and surrounded by 4 smaller domes with gold curling spires protruding through them. At the 4 corners of the stunning structure were 4 minarets that would beam a solid white light at night towards the centre dome, and the dome would reflect the light, giving the structure a halo which the people called the crown of the Tulku. In front of the awe-inspiring building was a reflection pool that was 300 yards in length, lined with people who seemed to be praying or in deep meditation.
Welcome to the mausoleum, Prime Minister, Sikna said.
What an incredible piece of human ingenuity, Yefimovich said.
I've been here several times, and I'm always jaw-dropped by the sight of it.
It is rumored that the first Tulku is buried in the crypt down below, Sikna informed them.
Rumored? It is not true, then? Yekaterina asked.
The tombs have been searched many, many times, but no one has ever found any evidence that he was buried here, Sikna answered her.
They finally reached the staircase to the building's entrance, which rose 50 feet to the building's ivory doors, which looked small as it sat beneath an arch 150 feet tall. As they walked to the throne room, Sikna told them a story for every room they passed. Yefimovich could see his daughter was drawn to the law, and then he heard something that he had forgotten entirely.
Oh yes, 2 millennia ago, this palace used to be a temple for our people. The minarets resemble the 4 elements, and the building itself symbolizes the Tulku. In fact, I believe that is how the myth of the first Tulku being buried here started, Sikna said as he bowed his head and pointed to the doors of the throne room. Raja Harsha will see you now. It was very nice to meet you all.
The doors to the room opened slowly, and sitting before them in a chair made of gold was the king of Arpa. The Raja stood up from the throne and walked towards Yefimovich and his family.
Prime Minister, welcome. It is great to see you, Yefimovich, said Harsha.
Thank you for agreeing to meet us.
Yefimovich shook the king's hand.
How could I say no to the great and heroic Yefimovich? Even more, how could I say no to the Tulku? You are both living legends whose stories will last many lifetimes, Harsha replied. I think you sit me too high on that pedestal. I do not deserve such high praise. Thank you,
Yefimovich said to the Raja.
Oh, nonsense. Now let us leave this dreaded throne room and get a little more comfortable,
Harsha told his guests. The four of them talked for hours about their countries, their pasts, and their futures, what dangers they had faced and how they overcame them.
It was less than 20 years ago when we were all one nation, Yefimovich, and I do not think Holle would be so reckless as to start another war so soon, said the Raja. We were only a single nation for 100 years, and they were never really peaceful, Harsha. I have stories, and you have told me stories of your youth, of the riots and anarchy we would see every 10 years. You once told me a story of your cousin, how his life was cut short from the terror we would see in the streets. I must ask you, if war does come, will you fight with us?
Yefimovich asked. Raja Harsha gave a long and inquisitive look, as if to reflect on Yefimovich's comments of the past and the wildness of the country where Holle was one large state.
Hand me the treaty, Prime Minister.
Harsha glanced over it a final time. He looked at his advisers that were in the room with him and scribbled his name on the dotted line.
You've got a friend in me, Yefimovich.
Thank you, Harsha. Let us hope I'm wrong. Yefimovich spoke softly.
Let us hope indeed,
Harsha said back to him. The day pushed up the night, and the crescent moon hung high as it cut the black silk of the dress of the sky, spilling small beads that twinkled in the darkness. Yefimovich lay in his bed, his wife sleeping beside him, and his mind raced through a maze of possibilities, full of what-ifs and uncertainties. His eyes dashed from side to side, and his heart began to quicken, but then a hand grabbed his, and a voice spoke faintly. Close your eyes, my dear, for you have won the day, and do not trouble your heart on tomorrow, for it has not happened yet. Yefimovich looked over at his wife, and her eyes looked back at him. I love you, he whispered, and closed his eyes to let the night give way to day. With the new day came a new country, and a treaty was signed with Constantinople, and then the next day came, and stronger bonds were tied with Enuarku. The fourth day arrived with a firmer alliance with Attica, but the fifth day came, and the sun did not shine down to the earth. Truth upon truth Yefimovich gave, but the president of Polsha was blind to it. Neutrality was the word the president spoke, neither friend nor foe, neither good nor evil. Yefimovich thought to himself, an action of inaction. May you have the grace the Lord has given me. I can see you need it more than I. He left the country in disbelief and ashamed that he had failed. And the sun did not shine on the 6th day nor on the 7th. Turned away at Anija and shunned from Austria, he left for home. His heart did not rise above the sea, neither did it sink to its depths, but it sat in the waves looking for the light of the night from the house on the shore striking the darkness. Yefimovich sat uncomfortably in his chair, deep in thought about what had transpired throughout the week. Victoria, Katerina, and Rivka were gossiping on a story, but all he heard were mumbles. A glare hit his eyes. He winced away and then fell back into thought. Then it struck his eyes again, and with it a thought. Not a eureka moment, but one of cognizable obviousness. As Yekaterina was moving the light that crossed her father's eyes, he said to his daughter, Hey, Kat, I need you to do me a favor. What is it, Dad? She asked. I need you to go to Avengla. We have a treaty to sign with them.